Imagine being born into a world where the most basic law of nature, gravity, simply does not apply to you. Imagine being a newborn baby so weightless that you float toward the ceiling. The moment you're born, a child who needs sandbags sewn into his clothes just to stay on the floor. A boy whose mother must literally tie him down every night so he doesn't drift into the sky while he sleeps. Now imagine growing up with this secret. No school, no friends, no playgrounds, no trips outside. Because your entire life is a risk, one mistake, one witness, one moment of curiosity could expose you to a world that's not ready for someone like you. A world that would not see you as a child, but as an experiment. This is the hauntingly beautiful story of Oscar, the boy without gravity, and his lifelong struggle to be normal in a world that only sees special as something to be used, owned, or controlled. And today, on Real Movie Breakdown, we're diving deep into one of Netflix's most unique and emotional films, The Man Without Gravity 2019. Hey everyone, welcome back to Real Movie Breakdown, the place where movies stop being stories and become experiences. If you're here, you love cinema that touches the heart, challenges the mind, and stays with you long after it ends. And today's film does exactly that. No superheroes, no space missions, no fantasy spells, just one extraordinary boy, trapped inside an ordinary world that doesn't know what to do with him. So grab your popcorn, sit tight, and let's break down this emotional, philosophical, and deeply human story. This is The Man Without Gravity. A dark, stormy night. Lightning flashes. Thunder shakes the windows. A pregnant woman named Alana, trembling with pain, arrives at a tiny rural hospital with her mother. This place is underfunded, old, practically forgotten, and tonight, only one nurse is on duty. Eleanor's contractions worsen. The grandmother helps her onto the bed. The nurse panics and fumbles with equipment. Everything is chaotic. And then, a moment of silence. A newborn cry. But something is wrong. The grandmother looks up and gasps. The newborn baby is floating, not levitating softly. He rises like a helium balloon, drifting toward the ceiling. Alana screams. The grandmother grabs the child. The nurse collapses in shock. Eleanor's mother snaps into action, closing the windows, pulling the curtains, locking the door. And right there, in that tiny hospital room, the family makes a life-changing decision. Nobody must ever see this child float. Nobody. They name him Oscar. And from the moment he takes his first breath, he carries a secret no one else on earth has. Oscar's earliest years are not like other children's. His mother and grandmother sew sandbags into every piece of his clothing, shirts, pants, shoes, even pajamas. Not for fashion, for survival. Without these weights, Oscar lifts off the ground with the slightest movement. He cannot walk naturally. He cannot sit without being strapped to a chair. He cannot sleep without a rope tied to his ankle. Every day is a game of physics and fear. Inside the house, he practices walking. He experiments with balancing his body. He tries to push his feet down, trying to pretend he has gravity. Outside the house, nothing. He is never allowed outside, because one slip, one gust of wind, one villager spotting him, and Oscar will be gone. Alana and her mother know that the world feeds on fear and curiosity, and a floating child is the perfect target for both. Oscar's life is small, controlled, and suffocating, but also filled with love. His mother is gentle. His grandmother is tough but caring. They do everything they can to give him joy, but the house becomes a cage. One afternoon, while playing near the bedroom window, the only place where Oscar can peek at the outside world, he sees a little girl. She is around his age, energetic, curious, bold. Her name is Agatha. At first, she just waves at him. Later, she starts talking to him through the window. And soon, Oscar and Agatha form a quiet, innocent friendship. Agatha asks why he never comes out. Oscar hesitates, then feels guilty for lying. But he must keep his secret. Still, the longing inside him grows. He wants to play outside. He wants to run. He wants to feel sun on his skin without weights holding him down. Agatha becomes the only window to the world he craves. And eventually, Oscar breaks the rules. Agatha convinces him to sneak out for just a minute, just a quick walk outside. Oscar steps out. The air feels different. The grass under his weighted shoes feels magical. But then, disaster. A small breeze blows. Oscar leans forward, and his feet leave the ground for half a second. Agatha freezes. Oscar's eyes widen. She just saw his secret. But instead of fear, Agatha is filled with wonder. Her reaction gives Oscar his first moment of hope. Maybe he can be accepted after all. But that hope is short-lived. During one of their secret meetings, Agatha tries to give Oscar a playful push, like kids do. But with Oscar's weightlessness, even a gentle push becomes a dangerous force. He floats upward. Higher, higher, higher. Panicking, Agatha grabs his ankle, but loses her grip. Oscar begins drifting, helplessly, like a balloon escaping a child's hands. From the house, Elena sees her son rising into the sky. She races outside, screaming, and pulls Oscar down with a rope she kept hidden for emergencies. Neighbors stare. Suspicion rises. Danger becomes real. That night, Elena scolds Oscar, then holds him tight, trembling with fear. And she makes a heartbreaking decision. Agatha can never see Oscar again. Oscar must be hidden from the world, completely. Oscar cries silently. His only friend, gone forever. The window, closed. His world, smaller than ever. This ending of childhood innocence shapes Oscar's soul forever. Oscar grows into a teenager, tall and thoughtful, but still living under complete lockdown. He's intelligent, endlessly curious, and starving for freedom. He studies physics, astronomy, and biology, trying to understand why he floats, why gravity ignores him, and whether there's anyone else like him. He exercises constantly, attempting to make his muscles heavier. He experiments with new ways to keep himself grounded, but nothing works. Most painful of all, Oscar has never stepped into a classroom, played a sport, gone shopping, or walked down a street. His entire life exists inside one house. Every dream he has involves running, jumping, dancing, things he'll never do. Elena explains again and again. The world will take you away from me. I can't lose you. Oscar loves his mother, but he feels imprisoned. His grandmother, more blunt, says, "You can want the world, but the world will not want you, not the real you." Their warnings are rooted in fear. Oscar's rebellion is rooted in longing. And one night, that longing wins. Late at night, Oscar stands at the window staring at the moon. He removes his weighted vest. His body lifts lightly. He removes the weights from his shoes. His toes float off the floor. He writes a small note for his mother. "I need to know who I am." Then he floats out the window. He grips rooftops, trees, and ledges to stay grounded as he navigates the village. For the first time in his life, he sees the world, the real world. Birds flying, dogs barking, street lights glowing, villagers sleeping quietly. He reaches the bus stop just as dawn breaks. With trembling hands, he buys a ticket to the city. The bus ride is awkward. Oscar must hold the seat to avoid floating. But he doesn't care. He is free. Lost, but free. Scared, but free. Alone, but alive. For the first time, Oscar feels like he is writing his own story. But freedom comes with consequences, and Oscar's consequences arrive fast. In the city, Oscar rents a cheap room. He tries to walk naturally and act normal. But the world is big, loud, chaotic, overwhelming for someone who grew up in silence. Still, Oscar pushes himself to adapt. One day, he enters a supermarket to buy snacks. He reaches for a cereal box on the top shelf. He stretches, pushes off the shelf a bit too hard, and his entire body lifts upward. A woman standing behind him screams. Groceries fall to the floor. A man pulls out his phone. Another customer gasps loudly. Oscar panics, tries to run. But running is nearly impossible when your feet don't stay on the ground. He stumbles out of the store and floats in front of a full crowd. Every phone camera is pointed at him. And within hours, the entire world knows about the floating man. Oscar becomes viral, but not in the way he wanted. Not as a person. As a phenomenon. Oscar is taken into scientific custody for protection. But everyone knows what this really means. He's a prisoner again. A different cage. A bigger cage. But still a cage. News reporters shout questions at him. Scientists examine him. Governments demand answers. Millions of people online argue about him. Some call him a miracle. Some call him a hoax. Some call him an alien. Some call him a government experiment. But not one person asks how he feels. The world takes Oscar's freedom and turns it into entertainment. And that's when the story turns. Because someone from Oscar's past steps back into his life. Someone who once understood him better than anyone. Someone he thought he'd lost forever. While Oscar becomes a global sensation. Countless doctors, reporters, and agents surround him. But in that sea of strangers, one familiar face appears. A woman pushes through the crowd, tears in her eyes, gasping as she sees Oscar for the first time in years. It's Agatha, the girl who once held his ankle as he floated toward the sky. The girl who watched him disappear from her life. The girl who never stopped thinking about him. But she isn't a little girl anymore. She's grown, confident, determined, and still carrying the guilt of the day she accidentally let him float away. Oscar freezes. Time stops. Two childhoods collide in a single look. Agatha whispers, "Oscar." Her voice cracks, a mixture of disbelief and relief. Oscar smiles softly. "Yes, it's me." Agatha becomes the emotional anchor Oscar has been missing his entire life. She asks about his life, his mother, his grandmother, his secret fears, his loneliness, and most painfully, why he ran away. Oscar's voice trembles. "I just wanted to know what normal felt like." Agatha takes his hand and promises, "Then let me help you live, not as a phenomenon, but as a person." And for the first time since escaping his rural home, Oscar feels safe again. But their reunion is overshadowed by the harsh reality. Oscar is not free. Not yet. Oscar is transferred to a top-secret research facility. It's clean, modern, and heavily guarded. White walls, cold lights, endless tests. Doctors poke, scan, examine, and measure him. Every move is recorded, every breath analyzed. He's not Oscar anymore. He's Subject 0G. They strap him down for safety, they say. They take his blood for analysis, they say. They want to understand him, they say. But Oscar begins to see the truth. This place is just another cage. Unlike his home, where his mother protected him out of love, this cage exists to own him, control him, use him. Whenever Oscar expresses fear or discomfort, scientists respond with the same cold line. "Please remain calm, it's for research." But research means isolation. Isolation means loneliness. Loneliness means suffocation. Oscar starts to lose himself. He tries to look strong in front of Agatha, but she sees the truth in his eyes. He's breaking. And then, things get worse. Oscar is pushed into media appearances, talk shows, news interviews, scientific conferences. They dress him up, paint him as a miracle, spin his life into a spectacle. He floats on stage for audiences. People scream, applaud, laugh, record him. Oscar becomes a sideshow, a circus attraction, a floating man puppet. But behind every forced smile, behind every wave, Oscar's heart is drowning. The world celebrates him, but no one truly sees him. Except Agatha. She watches him perform, heartbroken. She sees the pain in his eyes, hidden behind artificial smiles. One night, she confronts him. "Oscar, is this what you wanted when you left home?" He looks down, voice shaking. "No, I wanted freedom. But they gave me fame instead." Agatha, frustrated and emotional, whispers, "Then let's get you out of here." This moment becomes the turning point of the entire story. Agatha proposes a daring plan. She will disable the facility security cameras. Oscar will remove his weight harness. He'll float through the ventilation shaft. She meet him outside. Together, they will disappear. Oscar hesitates, afraid of being hunted down again. But Agatha insists, "You spent your childhood trapped. Don't spend your adulthood the same way." Oscar finally agrees. And so, the escape begins. Late at night, alarms turned off. Guards distracted. Agatha slips into the control room. Oscar removes his weighted vest for the first time in months. He feels weightless, but also powerful. This time, his weightlessness isn't a curse. It's his advantage. He floats upward, grabs the vent, and squeezes inside. The escape is tense, claustrophobic, and nearly impossible. But Oscar doesn't give up. And finally, he emerges onto the roof of the facility. Agatha waits below. Oscar floats down into her arms. They share a breathless, emotional moment. And then, they run. Oscar and Agatha hide in abandoned buildings, forests, and old barns. It's not a glamorous escape. It's harsh, cold, and dangerous. But it's also the first time Oscar feels alive, truly alive. They talk for hours. They laugh. They share memories. Agatha confesses she always wondered what happened to him. Oscar admits she was his only friend, the only part of the outside world he loved. Slowly, naturally, they fall in love. But their love story is cut short by reality. Posters appear in villages. Search parties flood the countryside. Helicopters hover overhead. Oscar realizes something painful. As long as he exists publicly, he will never be free. Anyone who discovers him will want something from him. Fame, fortune, science, politics. He will never live a normal life. So Oscar makes a decision, the most difficult one of his life. He must disappear completely. And to do that, he must return to the only place he was ever truly safe. Home. Oscar returns to the village with Agatha. His mother, Aelana, opens the door and sees her son, grown, exhausted, bruised, and floating slightly above the ground. She bursts into tears. The hug between them is emotional, painful, and powerful. A mother protecting a child the world tried to steal. Oscar's grandmother, older and weaker now, also cries. The home fills with memories, regret, guilt, forgiveness. But Oscar has come home for more than comfort. He has come home to ask for help. He stands in front of his mother and says, "I don't want to be a miracle. I just want to be invisible." Aelana understands instantly, and they begin planning the final disappearance of Oscar, the boy without gravity. Oscar, his mother, his grandmother, and Agatha create a plan that shocks viewers. They stage Oscar's death. They fake an accident where he supposedly floats into the sky and vanishes forever. They leave behind planted evidence. They make it look like Oscar was taken by the wind during a storm, and the world buys it. The government closes the case. Media calls it a tragedy. People mourn the miracle that floated away. Oscar is declared dead. The pressure dissolves. The search ends. The world moves on. And Oscar is finally free. Years pass. Oscar now lives quietly in a remote location under a new identity. He stays indoors during storms. He hangs weights around the house. He moves carefully in public. He keeps his head down. But he is alive. He is free. Agatha visits orphan. Aelana and his grandmother send letters anonymously. Oscar works as a librarian under a false name, a quiet job, perfect for a man who no longer wants attention. He doesn't float in public. He doesn't attract crowds. He doesn't perform miracles. He finally has what he always wanted, a normal life, even if it's imperfect, even if it's fragile, even if it's lonely. In the final scene, Oscar narrates, "What makes us special isn't what sets us apart, but the people who make us feel like we belong." And that line captures the entire message of the film. Being unique is not a gift unless you have someone who loves you for it. And that, my friends, is the beautiful, emotional, and deeply human story of The Man Without Gravity, a film that reminds us that being extraordinary means nothing if you can't live freely. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, comment your favorite moment, subscribe to Real Movie Breakdown for more deep, cinematic storytelling, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our next film analysis. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.